left-wing Kingz. Listen, think, act, repeat.
The rise of the Black Republican has been a fascinating trend over the past decade, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. I see a whole lot of Black Republicans out there. I speak to them. They come on our sites and shit and get at us and all type of things.
Are those black people? I ain't know.
Some of them are. Some of them are. Now, there are some complexities behind this trend, like views on discrimination. They feel differently about discrimination, disillusionment with some of the policies that the Democratic Party has.
Yes.
And we know that we're not a monolith. Like, you know, everybody's not the same. We don't all have to be Democrats because we're Black.
Yeah, agreed.
Your voting reasons could vary widely. But with that being said, Black Republicans are like unicorns, man. It's hard to find them motherfuckers out there. But they there.
They find you.
Us. They sure enough, they can find us, these bastards. So, Dr. Sizer, tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the Black Republican.
I'll be honest, and trust me, I'm trying to moderate some of my conversations so I don't come off sounding like the minister Larricon ex Shabbat.
You ain't got to hold back here. You ain't got to hold back here.
But to be frank and forward, you know, I find it difficult to trust. You know, I really just don't trust them, and you know, it took me quite a amount of years to understand that just because we wear the same uniform, you know, we don't have the same beliefs, and you know. So I look at them, and you know, a lot of times nowadays, just as you said, you know, you encounter them, and you know, I'm curious, and you know, I understand that it takes all types of people, you know, for us to, you know, exist as a society and advance different ideas. But most recently, you know, I've simply found people that they parrot hateful speech towards minorities and Black people. I mean, a Black Republican is quick to regurgitate something that they've heard that is a white supremacist or a nationalist has said, and that just totally befuddles me. And I do understand that, you know, in the past we had Colin Powell. You know, you had conservatives, and I think conservatives and Republicans are different because conservatives have principles. A lot of times nowadays you hear Republicans, and they just parrot a lot of hateful speech and hateful ideas. Meanwhile, trying to champion Christianity.
Yeah. There ain't no black white nationalist out there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there's some out there.
Well, I mean, you're in the wrong damn church. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. I'm like, you know, they're out there, and it really you absolutely will get into your thoughts and wonder, like, does this person absolutely believe this, or are they just trying to, you know, to push your buttons?
You know, sometimes I think it's, man, like, I know some Black Republicans, and let's be real, I know some blacks for Trump, you know what I'm saying, who's wearing the T-shirt, you know, standing behind Trump when he's at these rallies. I know a couple of them. And sometimes I think that a lot of them are playing just to be different. They want to be different. They're just going the other way. Like, they know most Black people are about Obama. Most Black people, a lot of majority Democrats, or the whole 9 yards. So they're just going the other way. Even sometimes that other way doesn't even benefit them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going up against yourself. You know, you're going against policies that don't even work with you. Talking about that you're Republican. And then they will be fighting on something like, for instance, I can't remember her name, the young lady that got shot, Tawana Brawley, I can't remember her name real quick. But when she got shot, and they'll be siding with law enforcement, George Floyd, they be siding with law enforcement. I hear what you're saying, but that's happening to Black people. I mean, you see the color of the guy. You know the history.
There's a trend
we're going through. Like, you know the history that Black people go through, but just so they can be different, they side with Republicans. You know what I'm saying? So
there's got to be some good reason in their minds that we could be aware of. Like, why are Black people starting to turn to the Republican Party? What are some of their reasons that justify
I wouldn't
change?
necessarily say that they're turning to the Republican Party. I think they're more likely turning from the Democratic Party.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, unfortunately, we live in a binary society in which we have basically a binary choice. Of course, you have independents, but they collectively don't have enough power to really create or unify enough behind an individual to create a third party that can absolutely inspire or make a change.
Right.
So you have the Republicans and you have the Democrats, and you always hear the quote, two wings of the same bird. Mm-hmm. And you look at the Republicans nowadays, absolutely, they strategically do stuff, and the Democrats seem to be operating in a situation in which they're, 30 years ago was the way they approached things. Meanwhile, it's like when the Revolutionary War was going on, and you had the two groups on the field standing facing each other and just shooting each other, and then one day somebody says, "Hey, I'm going to wear green and brown and I'm hiding in these woods and I'm going to shoot them." That's how the Republicans are operating. Yep. And the Democrats are here with the white glove slapping you in the face, trying to do the Queensberry rules, talking about I challenge you to a duel. Yeah. And the Republicans are like, "Nah, man, we're not doing that." So exactly. When Michelle Obama was saying, when they go when they go low, we go high. I'm like, no, we can't do that anymore. That's me. We got to get. I'm getting in the. How low? I'm like Chuck D. How low can you go? I'm going lower. Give me a shovel. I'm going lower than that, and we just gonna get down there.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, no, they ain't playing. The Republican Party ain't playing by the rules no more, and the Democrats got to stop acting like they are, and they need to get down with them. But I think to answer your question, Malik, is I think a lot of Republicans, black Republicans, first and foremost, start off with income. If they think they're making a tax bracket, a different tax bracket, they think they should be Republican. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that may be truthful for your business interest. You know what I'm saying? So just to put a positive spin on a little bit, sometimes the Republican politics talk to you differently when you're making a certain amount of money. You're a business owner. That's a lot of reasons where they go. But like most people who are working class, that's a whole different show. They vote Republican. They're voting against their interests because the people they're voting for are the main people who are oppressing you. You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. And I don't want to get too far in a tangent, but I think that's one of the reasons that we have black people who are black Republicans that are voting that way because of their income.
Right. Just to give you a little bit on the Pew Research point, it's actually only 1 out of 10 now that are moving to black Republicans. So it's not a large amount, but it's more than what it used to be. Right. So they're looking at about 4% of individuals now will sway with a black Republican versus before, like Dr. Sizer says, was more on the Democratic side. So we're moving that direction. As far as black Republicans, I think because they are younger, okay, so some of our experiences are different. I mean, we look even at our kids, they're more accepting. So to them, they vote more on individualistic situations, like as far as racism and inequality, versus Democrats typically try to go the approach of making change, state laws and things of that nature. So they don't see it in the same light as well. So they say, okay, well, I had a situation with the individual, but they don't see it as institutional situations, like what is happening, what is built, how our country was built. They don't see that. They don't understand the impact that it has had on Black Americans. So I want to say first thing is the age limit. Just like Adrian said, also Black Republicans typically have the same monetary stances as Black Democrats. People don't understand that. Like as far as we are in the same pretty much tax brackets as well. So I just think some changes age-wise. Yeah. I think, in their experiences, because experiences drive your decisions and what you do.
Yeah, and I think to your point about age is that they feel like in their age group, in this Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever you want to say, like they don't feel like discrimination exists. The statement that Republicans say, I don't see color and everything's fair. We don't need diversity and inclusion. Equity, we don't need those things. Those appeal to the younger kids. And why? Because to be truthful with you, they don't give a fuck about sexual orientation no more. They go to school and there's kids dressed like girls and they don't care about that stuff no more. These white kids is dating black kids. They love black music. Like you go to any of these schools out here, you're going to see white girls all over Negro boys, if you want to call them that.
Everybody love black culture, but they don't want black problems.
Exactly. They don't. Exactly. As James Baldwin, that's what he said so eloquently. But at the end of the day, they don't see the discrimination as much because in their age group, that's irrelevant to them. So when the Republicans are saying, I don't see color. Well, I don't agree that you don't see color because I see it. But to them, like you said, that age group, they just feel differently about discrimination. And that message from the Republican Party resonates with them for some reason.
Yeah, and I think that's all strategy too. I mean, Nikki Haley came out with the there's no racism, even though she can't use her whole damn name. She can use her real name, but ain't no racism.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and you're right, the younger generations do actually have that I don't see color. I mean, my own kids was preaching that shit in my house. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
That's what they think.
And I said, well, y'all come black, come talk to me. So, so I can let you know how that works. You know what I'm saying?
Because they're not in the corporate culture. They're not in that world yet, some of them. And they don't understand that there are implications to your race in the real world. Yeah. Unfortunately.
And to your point, last week, a columnist or a podcaster, reporter, I believe his name is Rob Thomas. He's a homosexual black Republican.
Yeah, I saw that.
He said he felt as if the Republican, he went to an event, he felt as if they stabbed him in the back because they were heckling him for his race and before his and also for his sexual orientation. And he's wondering like what happened. And I'm like wondering like, hey, dude, where you been at?
I think he went to.
There's two things that these people don't particularly care for, and that is blacks and homosexuals. You took both of them into a space and wonder why they treated you the way why you were treated the way you were. Like, yo, surprise, man.
Yeah, exactly.
He was on CNN with that. I saw that, man. Like, it's just. Yeah, I think he went to a MAGA rally. I think, or something like that. And
like seriously?
And they booed him out and chased him out. Yeah, like
that's crazy.
I mean, wow. You know what I'm saying? They don't. So.
Well, some of these things, I mean, in the minds of these individuals, right? I don't agree with them, but the income thing. If they feel like they have a certain amount of income, or they have a business, or they don't feel like discrimination exists anymore. Those could be valid reasons in their mind, right? But how does a black Republican make themselves right with the fact that Republicans are aligned with white supremacists?
And again, I don't, in my life, in the way I live my life, I don't care to, really disparage folks in their choices and their decisions. I just need you to be able to explain it to me. Yeah. And no one has really been able to give me a real explanation. I do understand that, when we're talking, financial implications, that's a single issue, however.
Yeah,
because I don't care how much money you have. If a racist white cop who's likely a Republican put that nightstick on you, you're gonna realize you black real quick. They're gonna tell you. You can ask, or a situation. You can ask Bill Cosby, OJ. You can ask, what's her name? Candace Owens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Candace Owens gets fired. Now she looking around like, hey, because she's anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
But as long as she was disparaging and saying things about black people, she was good. Same thing with Kanye. Kanye, niggas in Paris.
Yeah.
You good? Whoa, you said one thing about Jewish people?
You out of that.
No.
Yeah. Right. But also, to your point, like, they don't, it's crazy how their messaging doesn't align with what they're saying. Like, you said this, what was that? The black lieutenant, the military guy who got stopped by a white cop.
Yes.
I thought y'all back the blue. I thought y'all was back in the military. I thought, you know what I'm saying? And you treating this guy like this because he's black. Like I said, there's no exception. So
yeah, getting back to the black Republicans, I think, and we've all been the only black person in the room with white people, and especially if you in corporate America, and they like to say, "Hey, man, you different from the other ones."
Yeah,
they don't say that to me.
I'm just saying, but
they're gonna find out real quick.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm just saying, but you heard about it, then you different. From the other
absolutely
ones.
heard about it.
Yeah, no doubt.
You different from the other ones, and they fall for that punchline. So I think they different. They think that. I walk in a different space. They think of me differently. So now I'm a black Republican. I want to be able to talk their language for whatever reason. And
I absolutely believe that.
Yeah.
I think they feel as if they've been anointed and embraced by them. And so, now I'm one of you guys.
Yeah.
But because you're one of them doesn't mean you need to, dog out. Dog, one day you got to go home or see your family or you go to a reunion. You got to explain that, you have to explain it.
Yeah.
You know, like what's going on with Jamal over there talking all crazy.
Yeah.
Talking about Chad at work.
Yeah, and them sweater vests and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Looking like Carlton. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For real. You know what I'm saying? And and that's the hard disconnect for me, man, that you come from the black community and you're still in the black community. You still got people and folks in the black community, but you want to ignore the black community and what's going on. And that's a lot of times that's the bad thing about a black Republican. Now, I mean, there's some that, and don't get me wrong, there's some black Republicans that I think that I kind of respect on what they're doing because of their stances that they've taken, especially on Trump, like Mike Steele. And I think that there are certain people that probably should be black Republicans.
But that's because we have ideological differences.
Yeah.
He still has a moral compass, and he stuck to his principles. He's a conservative.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a conservative versus, and conservatives tend to be, they're Republicans.
Yeah.
But he's a conservative. He can explain to you what he stands on. He's not gonna the next week say, get rid of all, build the wall, throw all the Mexicans back and throw them in jail, this, that, and the other. And then in the same time, talk about, we need more people in the country. Y'all got to have more babies.
Right.
Like y'all want to have, y'all don't want minority babies.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what you want them to get born so you could treat them like trash their whole life?
Yeah.
Well, he stands on principle, and he's not willing to like let his morals, change that. Like, if to your point, like immigration, like he has no qualms with like, having some equality come into the play. He's not gonna support white supremacy.
Yes,
right. When they say things, he has policies that he stands on.
Well, what I find interesting is through research, 79% say that they have been discriminated against, Black Republicans. But again, it's just the way that they navigate through that on that process. And they feel
that's
like
a low metric right there.
like their barrier to progress, they feel like their color is not preventing them from getting anywhere. That is the difference. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like they say, I've been discriminated against, but I still have my own fate, and it's because of me and my hard work, and this is where I am, versus another Black individual. Well, the reason they didn't get where they're supposed to be because they didn't work hard enough. But we know there's some institutional practices that are in play that sometimes prevent you from being where you're supposed to be, or maybe in the time frame. We're all very successful here, but I do feel like I've had to work harder than my counterparts. And why is that? There's only one difference between us both, and we all know what that is as far as, color
Okay,
comes.
Clarence Thomas. That's Clarence Thomas right there, boy.
Yeah, we do have to work harder than them, but you don't have to work harder at pressing that like button.
I know it's coming.
So go ahead and click on that like button, and also make sure that you subscribe to Left Wing Kingz if you want to see more content like this. Now, we think Black Republicans are brainwashed. We think they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They missing this and they missing that, but they think Black Democrats are brainwashed.
Yes,
So
yes.
Who's really brainwashed? Republicans, Black Republicans, or Black Democrats?
I think you got arguments on both sides. That's why I honestly feel when it comes to politics, Black people have to be kind of independent. I think you got to hear both sides and kind of go and make your judgment for that. I think you can't really commit to either one. And of course, right now with Republicans, it's kind of like easy because Republicans, the MAGA Republicans, and definitely the damn Republican House, they just totally turn Black people off. But then, like, you got some Democrats on the far left, like, I'll be honest with you, I'm not down with the defund the police and all that craziness I'm saying that comes from some of the left, so it's some policies over there that I don't agree with, and sometimes we get people that are talking on that and just too far to the left, they're just as brainwashed as people that are too far from the right. You know what I'm saying? So it just really depends on the policy and where you stand on it.
I think Black Democrats have probably been, like myself, I've been conditioned to be a Democrat. And that is because, I remember the crack in the 80s. And I remember Ronald Reagan didn't do anything about crack in the 80s or
Trickle-down economics.
Yeah. I remember going to the rec center and the rec center's closed, and there's no more summer school programs for working. I remember that. And then I joined the military, and people in the military especially when the Reagan times, they were all trying to be Republicans because they were like, yo, we're gonna get more money and this, that.
Yeah,
but me, I'm
spending.
like, nah, I'm just not gonna, I'm gonna have to stand on something. I can't stand with that.
Right.
You know, I'm like, and I'll tell people, all Republicans aren't racist.
Right.
But all racists are Republicans. I'm like,
right.
That's what it is. And they have a tendency to folks don't stomp out that racism. They don't comment on it. They're like Nikki Haley saying Redomnabom Haley, whatever her name is. No, it doesn't exist. Like, man, where? In a perfect world, and it shouldn't. But the reality is, in America and in the society we live in, it absolutely does.
Yeah. Let me play devil's advocate on there because there was a time that the Democratic Party was completely racist. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think they completely went away. You know what I'm saying? Not completely. You know what I'm saying? I think Munchin out of West Virginia, I don't think he's, I don't think that he's as a Democrat, which he's a Democrat in Wolf's Clothing because he acts like a Republican, but yet and still, I don't believe that. I still believe there's some Democrats that also are racist because of just their whole family voted Democrat ever since the Dixiecrats from back in the day, and that's the way they live in, and their communities are still going to be that way. So I just play devil's advocate to that. But yeah, definitely most of the time, especially this day and age, most racists are Republicans. Thanks to Nixon. You know what I'm saying? Nixon did that. He converted all those racist Democrats over to the Republican Party when he was president. So,
and I'm always going to vote against who the KKK supports. That's just that's just me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to align or white supremacists, whatever the burgeoning or emerging white supremacist group at that time or nationalist group. I'm just going to vote against that because it's against who I am at my core. Because ultimately, we say single issue, we say money. If we say I'm voting because of my money, okay, that's one thing. What about the rest? What about the rest of your life? Because they could take that money from you, and you're gonna find out. Like I said, you're gonna find out you black real quick where you stand in society.
Yeah, definitely. I just don't believe in voting straight party either way. I don't trust either one of them. You know what I'm saying? So
I agree.
I try to hear each candidate out for what it's worth. Now, I can't help it that I don't know who the hell the county commissioner is for San Antonio, and he's running unchallenged. So, I mean, I wish I knew everybody, but especially when it comes to big tickets and it comes to what's going on, I kind of want to do my research and see what they're doing, being a Republican or a Democrat. I just think that's where we're at in life right now. The days of voting straight party, I just don't believe in it anymore.
No, I agree with you, Adrian. I listen to both parties too, but I got to roll with Dr. Sizer on this one. Like, I can never align myself with who somebody's a white supremacist that doesn't believe in equality for all.
That at all.
And like you said, like all Republicans aren't racist, but all races align themselves with the Republican Party. And we got to question is, why is that? Why does that happen? Why was Trump able to, once again, hijack a party? Because he wasn't coming to the Democrats and he used to vote as a Democrat, but he knew he was not going to be able to hijack our party. And maybe because our moral compass is higher, I don't know. I don't want to be challenging people's moral compasses, but there's just things that you should never align yourself with.
Well,
that's where we're at in this
That was
country.
strategically done. If you go back to 1964 and the Civil Rights Act, that being passed, Lyndon B. Johnson, the whole 9 yards, which falls into Nixon. All back then, it was all the southern states were Democrats and was against that. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So Nixon and the Republican Party strategically went out to flip the Democrats and the Republicans, and then the rest is history. Right. You go down to Reagan, you go down to the Bush Party, the Bush eras, to Trump. That's where the Republicans are. But those southern racists, the KKK, let's be real, they're prominent. KKK's been here for 100 years, and America hasn't figured out how to shut them down. You know what I'm saying?
That's not a terrorist. They're not
terrorists.
Yeah. They get funding and shit.
Antifa and Black Lives Matter are terrorists, but KKK, they okay.
KKK's getting funding. KKK got a branch all across the country. You know what I'm saying? And when they were in the South and they were Democrats, they voted Democrat. When Nixon came in and flipped over all the Republicans, they made them Republicans. So all that racial stuff that's going on that follows the Republican Party is embedded in it since Nixon. You know what I'm saying? So half of us was, if we were here, we were toddlers when Nixon was out. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So that's well over 50, 60 years that they've been embedded with the Republican Party. And, now they changed from KKK to a Christian nationalist. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what they try to use. Is the
Christian
historical.
nationalist.
Historical. They go back and say, well, Democrats back in the day, they were the racists. Okay, but we're in 2024, so who's the racist now? Where do they align themselves with? So we can talk about history all day long, but where are we at in 2024?
So they're going to tell you that MLK, Frederick Douglass, Abe Lincoln, they were all Republicans. And I'm like, and then 1964 came and everything changed.
It sure did.
Exactly.
So,
Here we are.
we're here now.
Yes, sir.
So you brought up some very famous individuals who we can all relate to. Some other ones, some other black leaders out there, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey. These guys had a less government type of approach. They were like, let us black people do our thing, get the government out of my face. We're going to roll with that. Do you think that maybe the black Republicans align with that type of thinking as well? So they are aligned with the black thinking? And to your point earlier, maybe we've been conditioned to just, okay, I'm a Democrat because of civil rights. Boom, I'm going to vote for them. But there were black people who were kind of praising some of the things that conservatives talk about. Where are we at with that? Is that why black Republicans feel like they align with them?
I believe black Republicans are probably more aligned with trying to assimilate with Caucasians.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a matter of principles or anything other than being able to be in that element and associate and rub elbows with, there's probably some self-hate in there and feel like they're, I'm not with these folks over here. They've accepted me over here, so I'm better than those over there. I think it's more than that. And I don't have any data to support that. Just
actually there
my
is.
Belief. Oh,
Black Republicans are less
You
likely.
gotta love it, man. Welcome to Left Wing Kingz.
Right? To say being black is a significant part of their personal identity. So that's over 58% of them don't identify as being black as being important. And that's pewresearch.com, so you can go
I don't see
research
color.
that information, that they don't identify with that. Like you said, they want to assimilate. They want to be one. I don't want to be looked as being different. We're all humans, guys. Remember? We're all humans. No color
put
here.
that nightstick on them.
Yeah.
That's
Until
where
we
they
got
want
by
to be.
hair care products, then we
And honestly, if you think about it, that is a good way of thinking, but it's just not the reality that we live in. I wish we could all look at each other and say, there's no differences in us. Let's all treat each other the same. But that's just not reality.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's unfortunate. But
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Idealistic.
Well, let's jump into the history of this question, like you were saying, Malik. Abe Lincoln actually argued the fact with Frederick Douglass about actually sending all the Africans to one of the Caribbean countries back, after the Civil War. And Frederick Douglass, along with 5 other black leaders, pretty much told them, no, we kind of built this place, so we're going to stay here. You know what I'm saying? Which I think was right, because they're going to throw us to a country that was undeveloped and hope we get everything done. Probably wasn't going to give us no money, like they ain't gave us no money yet. So bad idea. So he wanted to separate in that way. Garvey and Malcolm X, they wanted to separate because, white people were just so racist. It's like, let's get out of here and get our own place, but also fund us and pay us for what we wanted to do and give us the money. Even Martin Luther King, when he was marching on Washington, said, I'm coming down there to get a check. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm coming here to get paid. That's always been the problem with black people, is the acknowledgement of paying us. If they would pay us, then definitely separation would be good. But there's no black Republicans talking about that. That's not their agenda at all.
True.
They want to be part of what's happening, or like you say, assimilating with them, and want to act like nothing's going on, and want to act like history ain't what it is, or that happened a long time ago, which really didn't, because my mama's still living and she went through blatant discrimination. You know what I'm saying? So two different things there. And we're talking about separating back then. We're talking about separating, being given some power and some land so we can grow our own nation, which America's never going to do.
Right.